Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today is, okay, actually I'm not going to start the intro because I'm supposed to do the intro in Chinese, but I want to preface this video by saying that I'm going to speak Chinese. I do have everything that I want to say written in English because I feel, well, I'll say that in Chinese. Why? Because actually that's part of it. Yeah, basically I am going to make the introduction in Chinese, and I'm not going to go in and correct the subtitles. So I'm going to put the subtitles in English explaining like what I'm trying to say, but I'm also going to put subtitles in Chinese with what I'm actually saying, even if the grammar is incorrect, just because I am not trying to make it look like I know more than I do, or like I can speak better than I do, or like, I don't know, like I use my grammar perfectly, because I don't. When I speak, I make mistakes. My goal is that in a year, in 2 years, I can look back on this video and see how much I've improved. 大家好，欢迎来到我的 channel， 我的视频。如果我看我的 iPad 的屏幕，是因为我觉得，如果我必须想要说的东西和说中文非常难，所以我写了我想要说的东西。今天的视频是一个非常特别的视频，因为我学习中文3个月，还有我决定告诉你们我怎么学习中文，因为我觉得我学习中文的方法比别的人不一样，因为我看很多中文的视频、中文的电影，还有读中文的书。我觉得如果你想要学习一个新的语言，看电影比学习语法更好更重要。对，我也学习语法，因为我觉得非常有趣，但是对，我觉得比看电影不重要。我不要用中文说这个视频告诉你们我怎么学习中文，因为我说中文说得非常非常慢。还有，如果我用中文说这个告诉你们我怎么学习中文，这个视频会非常非常非常长。对，所以 Now let's get into the actual topic of this video, which is how I've been learning Chinese. And I also wrote that down because I use my iPad for everything, so I make sure I don't forget anything. So today's video I'm going to talk about 3 main things. Actually, 2 of them are like obviously the key ones, which is reading and writing, and the second one is listening and speaking, and the last one is going to be just grammar and vocab. So yeah, how am I learning to read and write? Okay, so this is kind of tricky because, as you guys know, Chinese uses characters. You can't just study an alphabet. I think everybody who's watching this video probably already knows that. But basically, the way that I study, I actually mostly got inspired to study this way by some polyglots, specifically Steve Kaufman. I will link his channel below. I kind of like his style based on the fact that when I was learning Hindi, there are no like proper ways of studying with like a book, with like exams that I know of does not really exist in Hindi. There are some books, but they're very dry. They are not really like interesting to me. They were not. So most of my Hindi I just studied through listening to my teacher and learning little by little. And so that's why I kind of decided to go this way. So a lot of my studying material involves being immersed in the language rather than doing some sort of like book, studying this vocabulary and using flashcards and all that stuff, although I do use flashcards for characters, of course. So the first book that I use, I've already mentioned in another video, and it's called Zhongwen. And this book, I just finished book 4. I think over 580 characters. I'll put a screenshot here of Scritter. Yeah, basically I use this Zhongwen and I use Scritter. One of the things that I really like about this book is that it gradually introduces you to more and more characters. So every chapter you learn 9 to 14 new characters, and then there is a
story that you have to read, and there's some activities, and then every story that you read for each chapter includes those new 9 to 14 new characters, plus all the characters that you've learned until then. And so what I like about this is that, one, I feel like I'm actually using every single day the characters that I've been studying up until now, and two, these books kind of gave me like a vision of what I'll be able to accomplish at the very end. Because when I chose this book, what I did was I looked at book 12 and I looked at what I would be able to read in book 12, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to be able to do. I have a couple of friends who speak Chinese, and they told me that when they were kids, the way they studied was by every single day they had like 2 or 3 characters to learn. And so that is kind of what I'm doing as well. Instead of learning full words, I'm using individual characters. And I don't know if anyone's going to believe me, but I think that this method is better than learning full words, because one of the advantages of learning individual characters, you're studying individual meanings. So for example, instead of studying 动物, which means animal, I'm studying 动 and I'm studying 物, which means 动 means moving, 物 means thing. So in that way, if I later see the word 动 in something else, as in, for example, the word 动作, which actually means action, if I've never seen the word 动作 before, because I know 动 and I actually also know 做, I can guess the meaning of that word. And so it's helped me a lot when it comes to learning vocabulary and when it comes to recognizing new vocabulary, because I just know what it is. So yeah, that is why I love this book. And then, like I said, I use Skritter to memorize the characters. I super recommend it. I think it's like $15 a month, and I know that's like a lot, I feel, but it is super worth it. Right now, okay, so there are 4 things that you can learn in Skritter. It's the stroke order, the tone, the actual pinyin, and the meaning. I disabled the tone because I felt like the tone was already part of the pinyin, and I didn't want to have, that's like, I was able to reduce the amount of reviews and studying that I have to do. I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't care about stroke orders, or I don't care about writing because I'm not gonna have to write anything. I mean, first of all, when you fill out documentation in another country, like in China or in any Chinese-speaking country, you might want to be able to write characters. Another thing that I've noticed that I really love about being able to actually write out the characters is that there are sometimes characters that are so similar together. Okay, I can't think of one right now, but I'm gonna put 2 characters here that I think look really similar, and a lot of times I mix them up. And there are a lot more characters that I mix, okay, that I could mix if I didn't know the strokes. But when I know the strokes, I look at them carefully, I'm like, no, this is not that one. And then in terms of stroke order, I'm not kidding you guys, stroke order was the least difficult thing for me to learn. I feel like once you learn a certain number of like characters, I say like maybe like 50, I don't know, after that, stroke order becomes like intuition, like you just use your intuition to write them. Okay, so that's a little bit for like how I'm studying. I am gonna put a little bit of a progress video. I thought this would be fun because recently I watched a video of me when I first started Chinese, when I was like still studying the pinyin, and I saw this video of me like reading, and I thought, like, at first I thought maybe I'm reading characters, but at the end of the clip I mentioned that I was reading pinyin. And I was like shocked because I was reading so slow. You would think that I was reading characters as if I had just learned those characters. And so it just goes to show that, wow, there are a lot of things that I learned that I didn't realize I learned. So I'll put that video here.
你会学到很多生词，你会先学习怎么理解一枚音的语言，在这里，我们不学习语法规则。
And now the next video that I'm going to show you guys is a video of me recently reading a text in Chinese, all in characters.
云，妈妈，我问你来答好吗？妈妈，好。现在云是小老师了。云，什么弯挂天边？妈妈，月亮。你看，挂在天边的月亮是弯弯的。 云云什么弯弯挺江远
Okay, so that is how I've been studying how to read and write, which I think is a really important part of the language, especially if you're going to be living in a Chinese country, Chinese speaking country, and you want to be able to order things, you want to be able to order food, you want to be able to go out on your own and not be confused. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is how I'm learning to listen and speak. Like I said, my way of learning the language in general is just like through a lot of listening, through a lot of input. The resources that I use to practice my listening mainly are Link. Link is a website that is made by Steve Kaufman. I think a lot of us who use Link feel like the user experience is terrible, like absolutely terrible. But the concept and the features are, in my opinion, just genius. I wish I could redo it myself, but it would take so much time and I don't have the time right now. So I'm not going to redo it. But that's kind of that's why I made my app. Like I see something and I'm like, I don't like this one. Can I just redo it? But I'm not going to do that. Anyway, so yeah, I basically use Link and italki. Italki, obviously, I think a lot of people know about italki. I just use it. I have a teacher. I love my teacher. The reason why I chose her, I actually tried 3 teachers at the beginning, and why I liked her so much is one, that the very first class we had, she got me speaking for like 15 minutes. Like I had been studying for 2 weeks at that point, and she got me speaking for 15 minutes. I don't know how she did it. I don't know where. I mean, it is true I was doing a lot of listening and I got a lot of vocabulary from that, but and then the other reason I really like her is because when I say things wrong, she doesn't like correct me. Instead, she just repeats the sentence. She's just like, oh, and then she like repeats it in the right way. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I should have done. But she doesn't like tell me, she just rephrases it in the right way. And so it's just like a really gentle parent type feedback where I just feel like I can make mistakes and I don't feel constantly put down for my mistakes, which I've had teachers in the past where I did feel like that. And then, like I said, Link, the most important resource that I use because it's basically how I learned most of my vocabulary and my grammar. And basically, I'll give you guys a little timeline on the content that I've been using. I feel like it will be interesting. I'll also try to link things below. But the first thing that I used on Link was the mini stories. So they have 60 mini stories and I just went through those. What I like about it, and this is something I didn't know actually, I watched a video of his recently where he was saying that the way that he made those stories is that the 100 most common verbs in a language, he had someone write them into those stories. And so basically from reading those stories, you're basically getting exposed to those verbs, not words, the verbs again and again and again and again to the point where you learn it. And of course, it's like you actually do learn it. That's why when I had my first class with my italki teacher, I was able to express a lot of things because I know how to say I feel. I know how to say I decided, I'm going, I'm eating, I'm looking for, I'm choosing. I don't know, like there's all these verbs that they have that are really important to a language, and he fit them in those. So he has, like, by the way, these stories for a lot of different languages, but yeah, obviously I use it for Chinese. And then after I finished that, I tried finding some like other random interesting material, but it was way beyond my level. I'll just put a picture here. And I ended up watching that with English subtitles because the Chinese subtitles were embedded into the video, and the way that Link works is that you need to have the subtitles separated. And so I tried watching that in Chinese at the beginning, but it was really hard because a lot of the characters I didn't know how to write them, so I had to like manually draw them into my phone, and it was just like a really slow process, and so I just gave up and I started watching in English because I liked it so much. After that, I found Peppa Pig in Chinese. I found a channel with subtitles, and I imported them to Link and I made it public, so I'll link that below too if anybody's interested. And I used all of those, and oh my gosh, those were great, especially because at the beginning I had a hard time understanding them without subtitles, and by the end of it I could even watch new cartoons that I didn't have subtitles for, and I could kind of understand what they were saying. Not every word, but kind of understand what they were saying. And then the material that I'm using right now is called Journey to the West, and I have it right here. And it's basically, I believe it's some sort of like, it's a story, it's a Chinese story that I guess everybody in China knows about. It's like written like many years ago, but then it was converted into a cartoon. And I was able to find it on Link, imported by someone else. And so yeah, I'm going through it. I have to say, like, a lot of the vocabulary might not be relevant to my day-to-day life, like for example, sword or magic. But at the same time, I am generally more attracted to videos or movies that are like science fiction, fantasy, things like that. And so even if right now I feel like I'm not going to use this vocabulary, I know that in terms of watching interesting content in the future, like watching TV shows and watching movies, this vocabulary is going to be helpful to understand them. So I'm not completely upset about that, and I'm learning a lot of other interesting vocabulary. Man, I feel like I have so much to talk about in this video. It's just like a lot. Now moving on to the very last thing I want to talk about, and that is grammar and vocabulary. Okay, so vocabulary, the reason why I put this in here is just because I know that people are probably interested in how others are studying vocabulary. Personally, I am not memorizing vocabulary. I don't use flashcards. I only use Scritter for my characters because there's no other way around it. But for vocabulary itself, I don't. All I do is the more I get exposed to words, the more I remember them. Every single word that I know it just because I heard it so many times, and then one day it just stuck, and then I knew how to use it, and that's how I'm learning words. The book that I am using, the Zhongwen, in every chapter, it has a set of words that it shows you based on all the characters you've learned up until now. It's like just a little section where they show you like, oh, these are the new words that you can read or say. And I do put those into an app called Quizlet, but I just put them in there because writing them once helps me kind of like get that extra exposure to them, but I don't study them again. So anyway, other than all that, for anybody looking for a grammar book, I have this grammar book, which I have used. I've actually gone through the whole thing. I don't know how, because like I said, I'm not like trying to do grammar, but what I like about this book is that it's not like a book where it's like chapter 1, little story, then you have the grammar points, this, that, do some activities like that. It's not like that at all. This book is basically like a website where you're like, okay, how do we compare two things in Chinese? And you go into here and you're like, oh, okay, that's how you compare them. And then they do have activities, and the reason why I did them was just for fun. But what I like about this book too is that all the vocabulary that they have in this book, they repeat again and again and again. Like every time they're showing you new sentence structures, they just keep repeating the vocabulary. Like at the beginning, I couldn't understand hardly any of what I was reading in Chinese, but then by the last chapter I was able to like read any part of it, and I knew what the sentence said. So that was a way, again, exposure. I was getting exposed to those words again and again and again. By the end of it I knew it. Like I said, I don't really focus on grammar, but I bought this book way before just because I thought it would be like, you know, a good way. I thought it would be good to have a place to look at in case I had questions, and I ended up just going through it because it was so much fun. I actually thought it was fun. So yeah. Anyway, that is it for this video. That's all on my Chinese progress. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I guess I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!